Change forced at Blizzard. Final Fantasy XIV takes a stand on boosting and World of Warcraft's timeline. I mean, let's see what Bellular has to say. Like I already said that, like he's still excited about 14 in a way where it's like, oh man, it'd be so cool if World of Warcraft did this. By the time he finishes Shadowbringers, he's not going to be talking about World of Warcraft anymore. He's going to be like, well, we're closing down. We're closing down shop on the Warcraft channel, and we're moving over full time to 14. That's going to be what happens. That's my prediction for when he hits Shadowbringers. But let's take a look at this.
Well, hello everyone. What a time it's been. BlizzCon's cancelled. Bobby has taken a pay cut, and a bunch of other things have happened. Patch 9.1.5. It's here in a few days. Boosting has once more entered the conversation because of Mike Ybarra and also what Square Enix have just done in FF14. There's a lot to talk about, you know. One of the books was delayed a bit. There's now questions.
Guys, all of you that play Final Fantasy XIV, wouldn't you like to get all of your lore on books instead of getting it in the game? What do you guys think? Wouldn't that be great? Like, you know, instead of you getting the story in the game, let's just like not have the cinematics, and instead they'll tell it to us on a book. No? Sorry, Blizzard, we have no takers here. Like, there's no takers in my chat, as it turns out. So we're sorry. We're very sorry. But no, I don't think we're going to be buying your Sylvanas book. Sorry.
For what the timeline of future WoW content's going to be. You know, it's both a messy and quiet time for the World of Warcraft, really, with 9.1.5 about to come out, and the realities of 9.2 meaning that we really should have a PTR quite soon.
Appreciate the support, thank you.
Perhaps we've made it through most of the rough times. Perhaps.
Dude! Oh no, dude. Perhaps we've made it through the worst times. Perhaps. I don't think so, Bellular. I got some bad news for you, buddy. Perhaps we've made it that... No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the case at all.
Help of our sponsor, noom.com/Bellular. Go there and take your free quiz. You can get started with the free trial at my link. So, they are taking a different approach to health, weight loss, and education. CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. It really is the good stuff. It
this actually sounds very interesting.
And they have got all of those learnings and all of this behavioral science worked into their program so it can actually work for you. So after the quiz sets you up, you're looped in with your coach. Your coach is a trained human. Then
I thought it was going to be an AI.
There. So there's the likes of, say, the step tracking, which of course my phone does automatically. It loops in, it's super handy. Weighing in, and then meals, where they've got a color-coded caloric density system that suggests alternatives, as well as educates you.
Maybe this will get you to stop drinking all those goddamn Pepsi Maxes, Bellular. It's bad for you. And I'm not saying this to be mean. I just want you to be around longer to make more content for us, dude. Stop drinking those goddamn Pepsi Maxes. You and Max. Fuck. Max, right? Fuck. Basically, both of you. Don't do it.
You on caloric density,
Matt,
as well as a grocery list feature to keep it all
stuck
manageable.
in my head.
And what's great is that as you do this, Noom takes you through education, like on weight loss and psychology and really everything there in a very bite-sized, manageable format. It's not a super hard, no pain, no gain kind of deal. It's all there to be a program that's tailored to you, that you can actually adhere to, that is backed up by the best science.
Exactly, Kegrin.
I mean, for me, you know, I've got a few habits to kick, a few bit of weight to lose. Working at 100% stress for many years has not been great for my health. So,
yeah, tell me about
solving those problems, helping people with that is their mission. And if you go to noom.com/Bellular, you can get started with your free quiz today. So, big thanks to them for what they're doing. And let's get into the show. BlizzCon line is BlizzCon.
BlizzCon!
Okay.
BlizzCon line.
Sorry, I shouldn't have even tried that one, should I? But yes, there's going to be no BlizzCon line in February. They've scrapped the event, but they have said they're still going to be doing announcements and updates for their games. So, are all of their announcements ready? Were they all? Would it be the case that if they did a BlizzCon line...
Like I said earlier, I don't know if this is in another video or not, but for those of you that end up not watching the other video, it's like one of the main reasons why... at least I would expect so, is like, look, most people would be expecting them to talk about Diablo 4. And if they don't have anything to say about Diablo 4, there's going to be a problem, particularly because I believe Diablo Immortal is about to come out. I know that they went into a beta like yesterday or something like that. So yeah, it would be a BlizzCon line where they would say, oh, by the way, Immortal is coming. And they would have like a big show and tell about Immortal. And then they would have nothing to tell you about Diablo 4. And that would go over so incredibly well in the current status of Blizzard. And then also, they probably don't have a whole lot to tell you about World of Warcraft because, you know, that game is in shambles. I mean, they released a new mount like yesterday, which was great. It's great content, dude. I mean, I got to make like 2 or 3 videos out of that. No, I only made like 1. But you guys get the idea, right? It's like, I mean, come on. They wouldn't be able to do it anyway. It's just there's just not enough there. They don't have enough to announce. COVID and all of their internal strife is just destroying the company from within. So I don't know how they can fix that.
It was all in one day, you know, just half their teams wouldn't have had the business. In which case, having a more flexible announcement cadence will mean that more of their teams will be able to show things when they're actually ready to, which I think overall would be better. Additionally, this does mean that PR and, you know, marketing-wise, it's going to be an update from the World of Warcraft development team, an update from the Overwatch 2 development team. The Blizzard name won't be there as much. And I think we all know the Blizzard name is somewhat tarried because of all of these, you know, all of these things that have happened. So I think they've probably done that a little bit too for just the PR reasons.
They speed ran their reputation.
I mean, certainly if this was a physical BlizzCon, could you imagine what a Q&A would look like? From a public relations and optics perspective? Yeah, ouch. So
lots of red shirt
guys. You might then
guys.
be wondering, where does this leave World of Warcraft? Well, the thing is, if there was going to be a World of Warcraft announcement in February, I think there still is going to be one. We really do have to think deeply about the next expansion, though. If you look at patch 9.2, and then you think about how the book was delayed into March, it does make you wonder, okay, maybe patch 9.2 is going to be mid-March. Now, that basically is like 9 months or whatever from patch 9.1 to 9.2, which is obviously not acceptable, but then again, that is just what we're dealing with.
Listen, Blizzard is just taking a natural approach to things, okay? It's a very natural approach. How long does it take a woman from conception to give birth? 9 months. So therefore, they're like, hey, maybe if we marinate these patches for 9 months, when they come out, they'll actually be like feature complete.
Given how COVID does seem to have hit the WoW development team quite a bit harder than most, or at least certainly in a more public way. Now, if that's going to be happening in March, I just have to level with you guys. It's going to be bloody hard for the next expansion's timings. They have had a WoW expansion roughly every 2 years. And if they were going to keep their pace, then I suppose you could say November 2022 for World of Warcraft's next expansion, 10.0, whatever that may be. And if that is the case, then patch 9.2 that comes out in March, maybe with a beta for the
Max
next
Wavy, thank you very much for the
test for the
bits.
next expansion being
Appreciate
in
it.
April. I mean, a 6-month testing process is something they can pull off. Marketing-wise, they could pull that off. I think that is ultimately what the higher-ups and all of that in the team would really want to have happen. But we just can't be 100% sure that it will happen. I also have to think about Blizzard's overall release cadence. What if it is the case that Overwatch 2 is ready for a Q4 2022 release? If that is the case, and Q3 World of Warcraft really is impossible, then could we actually see a situation where it's actually Q1 2023 that World of Warcraft's next expansion comes out? It's the sort of thing where if that was the case, we could all really understand how that could be better for the game itself. You know, maybe a March or a...
You know what Blizzard should do, but they're never going to? You want to know what would be a really good move on Blizzard's part? Like, I'm talking a serious, groundbreaking move to actually get player goodwill. No subscription fees until the next expansion. Think about it. If they actually just went and said, no subscription fees until the next expansion. Shit, even I can't criticize that. And I've been making a lot of criticism for World of Warcraft. I can't criticize that move. Nobody can criticize that move. But seriously, like, guys, just think about it for a second. No subscription fees until the next expansion. Because that way, I mean, I know that a lot of people, I probably still wouldn't play it anyways because there's still a lot of problems with the game. But it would give them a lot of time to fix the game, and it would buy them a ton of goodwill. Yeah, it's like most of us will still want to play Final Fantasy XIV, of course. I realize that, particularly, most people in the chat, because I was streaming Final Fantasy XIV right before we started reacting to this. But also, I'm sorry about the noise. But also, that would actually be a really consumer positive move that would gain them a lot of goodwill while at the same time giving them a lot of time. Because, it's like, who's going to complain about, oh, Blizzard, where's my content? When it's like, well, we're not charging you for anything now. We're not charging you for the subscription fee. So people can't complain about there's no content. They're like, listen, we're going to fix our game. We're going to take the time we need to. And that way they could delay everything until midway into 2023 by just, giving you a couple of maintenance patches here and there, whatever they have planned for 9.2 and whatnot. 9.1.5 is about to come out. So I think that would earn them a lot of goodwill and also give them a lot of time. Problem is, it's also going to bleed them a lot of money. And the shareholders would not like that at all, so it's never going to happen. But that would be, looking at Blizzard's current... If you look at Blizzard's situation like a chess game, in my opinion, that would be the most masterful move they could make. Because it ticks so many different boxes, it'd be insane. And they have a giant fucking war chest. Or at least they should have. If they didn't give all their goddamn money to Bobby fucking Kotick.
April patch 9.2 that has enough work, into it that it truly is an incredible, great patch. Maybe a Throne of Thunder-like patch that we all love. And we could then maybe see if they were able to just write off some of the time that's been messed around with and get a clean shot at the next expansion. Then, yeah, perhaps then a Q1 2023 expansion could actually release and be brilliant. But that's very much looking at it in isolation for the quality of just the game. And the really hard bit about an MMORPG is that, there's the phrase, a day late and a dollar short. Well, you can actually have the money, but be 2 days late.
Yeah.
And your people will have went to another MMO and got a friend group there and ingrained habits there.
Yep.
And then it actually means, yeah, you're 2 days late, but tough shit, the thing you wanted is more expensive now, so you may as well be a dollar short. And that, I think, is the fundamental worry overall about World of Warcraft from a more existential perspective. So as far as I'm concerned, I really do hope they're able to find a way where patch 9.2 can come out in March and the next expansion can come out in November. And then, because they're used to working from home and maybe they fix up their scope, fix up their relationship with Risk, they're able to get their schedule back on target, and then World of Warcraft can be in a more healthy place. I truly hope it does go in that direction. But I think overall that is the thing that we worry about right now. And the lack of solid information and dates from Blizzard, I think a lot of World of Warcraft players are also worried. And that's the thing. These games are virtual worlds, the World of Warcraft, the Final Fantasy, Lost Ark that I hear a lot of people are playing now. And what people really want in games like this is they want to, basically, they want to have faith in the integrity of the state and the government of the game they're playing because they're putting a lot of time into it. So do they trust that the game will constantly receive updates and expansions and that it is governed by a development team that, truly understand it and are doing just having more hits than misses? And I think that's where Final Fantasy XIV inspires a lot of confidence in players. And right now, I think that is what World of Warcraft has to claw back. Well, and any definitive dates would be pure speculation. So onwards to the next topic.
Bobby's pay cut.
Oh, we
had a whole
have
video
talked a lot about
this.
the Blizzard news over on our other channel, but today a significantly larger change has happened. One that perhaps is timed with a quarterly earnings call. Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard, has issued a statement, and there are a fair few changes. And look, I am going to hit you up with a cynicism on it, obviously, but it universally is all good stuff, right? Like, objectively, it's all in the right direction, but it also is just a few days before the earnings call, so, Now, I'll keep this nice, quick, and simple for you. So here's the rub. First up, a zero-tolerance harassment policy company-wide.
I've already said, this should be your baseline. If your company is in a state where you have to implement a zero tolerance, you have to explain to people, hey, listen, you know when you grabbed Debbie's ass and she was upset about it? You probably shouldn't have done that. You know when you stalk her to her car at night, you fucking creepo? You shouldn't do that. You're fired. Like, this should be a fucking baseline. The fuck? Jesus Christ. Can people not avoid being fucking creepers?
Basically, it seems like they are ratcheting up the severity of the strictness of their processes, especially for cases of retaliation. So, when an employee brings a problem up and their boss kind of retaliates, the company's going to be like, hey, boss, you're no longer in a job. And that's important because sometimes in the middle management of a company, middle manager may have personal incentives to climb that corporate ladder that don't actually align with the broader company policy. And that can be really bad for the people who are working underneath those managers. And I'm sure we all have heard many stories from our own lives of cases like that. Now, in many cases where people would have got a written warning, it's now going to be a termination. And this is especially if it involves any legally protected category. Now, as per the EEOC, that means somebody's race, color, religion, sex, national origin, age, disability, and genetic information. I mean, yeah, like, no shit. Don't give people shit for their immutable characteristics. That's very unfair indeed. So I think that's a really good policy, and we would do the same. Moreover, it's the sort of thing where that's a principle that is just true regardless of individual specifics, so it's a good one to have. Then they talk a bit about DEI initiatives where they want to basically increase the women and NB headcount by around 50%. Now that means by, not to. So right now they're at 23%, so those numbers would bring them to 33.5%. Now, if you want to talk numbers there, well, in the UK, Our Body Yuki, its most recent poll had 28% female, 2% NB, 70% male in their latest census. I saw numbers from the IGDA that were 24% and 2%, which is actually around where Blizzard is now. So I think their game plan is probably just to clean up their act, right? So there's none of those bad stories going on, so that they seem like a more appealing place to work, so that then they seem more appealing than the average in the industry, meaning that they would be able to attract that specific talent such that naturally they would end up at an above average breakdown.
So I think one of the things that I've talked about this yesterday, but I don't think I was going to put the video that we talked about yesterday. So I want to make sure that I bring this up again. And that is that I think it really fucking sucks that we have to implement these types of things where it's like, no, we need to reach this certain quota of hiring because I'm someone that is a firm belief that, like, look, you need to hire always the best person for the job. Unfortunately, the reason why this needs to be done is because there's a bunch of racist motherfuckers when it comes to hiring. At least at Blizzard, it's been shown through the lawsuit and all of that stuff. It's been shown that there was a clear bias to basically hire more white men, which fucking sucks. Because to me, it's always about who's the best person for the job. That's who you need to hire. But unfortunately, because of these people that are there, that are, they're actually a problem and the reason why Blizzard is being sued into the fucking dirt, because of people like that, this is why they have to implement these things where, these policies where it's like we have to, hit certain quotas to make sure that we include people that are non-binary, females, of certain ethnicities, Latinos, black, brown, etc. Right? So it's like, it sucks that it's like that, because to me, it always should be who is the most capable person for the job, hire them. But obviously they do have a bias in Blizzard. It's been shown through the thing, which fucking sucks. But, it is what it is.
I suppose that's basically what they want. In terms of the money, I imagine that's the likes of career days, apprenticeships, them being corporate sponsors, for like a technical college, things like that. All in, that's going to cost them 500 mil. That's 250 mil over 10 years and another 250 mil over 5 years. As for what's next then, well, they've actually tried to meet one of the employee demands, which is the one of forced arbitration.
This is like
really.
One of the best things.
So they are stopping the practice of forced arbitration for sexual harassment and discrimination claims. Now, that's good, but what about, regular harassment and, other things like that? That would be some questions people would have. So they're not going as far as Bungie, who just ended the practice altogether. Now, they're also saying they're about increasing visibility on pay equity, saying that actually, on average, women earn slightly more than men for comparable work right now, which is an interesting thing, and they've said they're going to continue to report on that. And apparently, there's just on all this stuff going to be quarterly updates. And then as the final point, the CEO of the company, Bobby Kotick, has asked the board to reduce his total compensation to 62.5 grand until their goals are achieved. So that's going to be his salary. That is the lowest salary he can actually get under Californian law. And he's also instructed them not to give him any bonuses or additional equity in the company. So fair play there, but unlike, say, Satoru Iwata, right, the now sadly passed CEO of Nintendo, he did that, I think, a little bit more proactively. As for Bobby, it does feel like he was kind of bludgeoned into the position and
pretty
has
much
only really done this, announced this.
Not only that,
before the earnings.
He also collected $155 million in June. So it's like, well, I already got $150 million. I guess I can waive my my salary for the rest of the year. Oh my, what a sacrifice.
Call. Now, of course, don't worry for Bobby. Bobby's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
His portfolio value will, of course, do excellently if Activision Blizzard stock goes up. And he will get dividend payments whenever they are issued. I mean, recently, he got a bonus of, that was about 456,000 common stock. Now, with a dividend, yield of 47 cents per share, which was their most recent issuing of a dividend, he would get a cool 215K from that. And that's just from the stock he got from that one bonus, not all the other stock he's going to earn, or own even. So, look, that's him earning as a function of being a shareholder, not as a function of his job. And it is absolutely true that his work-related compensation has fallen significantly. He has taken a humongous pay cut. Now, that said, to you and me, we see the numbers he deals with, and we're like, oh no, what a terrible shame. So, it does ring a bit odd, doesn't it? So overall here, this stuff is all good. But there are other employee demands to be met here. And of course, there's a whole debacle over the DFEH, which is the Californian state body, and the EEOC, which is the federal state body, them both squabbling over Activision. So don't expect this story to go away quickly, though this is certainly a larger development than most. Well, they've lost the lore. Yes, the lore has ran away. Quite literally. The new player experience of World of Warcraft at Endgame is getting a little bit messy, now to the point where the lore of Shadowlands literally does not make any sense if you're playing it in the game and has to be found on external websites. So, do you remember those kind of annoying, repetitious quests to save the faction leaders in Torghast?
No!
Right? Well, those were pretty boring to do, but after you did them, you got key lore in the form of those big Anduin cutscenes. And I didn't go back to check this because with patch 9.1, I just assumed they were made skippable and that the progress was account-wide. But it actually turns out, no, those quests basically can't be picked up and are essentially gone. And this essentially does mean the new players will instantly see Anduin come in and get the Archon. and they will have no idea how or why Anduin is suddenly a bad guy, which is
So let me tell you guys a little story that I like to talk about when I talk about the leveling experience of Shadowlands. Which, for those of you that are not aware, I actually played during the Shadowlands. I played and I did the first raid. Because, I asked Q if he could use a tank and raiding. He said yes, and so I went and I played Shadowlands. Now, the leveling experience of Shadowlands was really bad. So for starters, I didn't get to pick the covenant that I wanted to because I was forced into a different covenant, and now they're removing all those restrictions, which people told them not to put those restrictions in to begin with. But, whatever, neither here nor there. They basically completely ignored the community on a topic, which then they completely yielded on because people left in droves. But anyway, during the leveling experience of the Shadowlands, let me tell you guys something. So I was playing as a Kyrian Paladin because if you wanted to play a Paladin tank, you had to play a Kyrian Paladin if you wanted to do Mythic Plus. You could also be a Venthyr Paladin if you wanted to focus more on raids, but my main focus was Mythic Plus, so I had to be a Kyrian Paladin. There was no other choice. So I leveled up with the Kyrians and, I did all of the story. And then when I finished the story, I went on to do the dungeons, because like I always said, 5-man content is my favorite content in World of Warcraft. So we go in and do the dungeons, and we do this one dungeon where there's this character, which I would argue is a pretty fucking important character. All right. Pretty fucking important character. If you go and you watch like the cinematics that they presented to you ahead of the Shadowlands expansion, this character is the character that is talking with Uther. Pretty important fucking character. I forget her name now, but I used to know her name. So this character is talking with Uther, kind of like driving Uther down this weird path. So you kind of have an idea that this character is going to do some shady shit in the future, but they don't actually show you that stuff in game. So I did all the story, did all the things, and I jump into a dungeon, and suddenly, okay, I know her name now. It's Davos. Davos. Yeah, you guys are saying it in chat as well. Yeah, it's Davos. So I jump into a dungeon, which is the pinnacle. I think it's the pinnacle of something. I forget what the name of the dungeon was. I jump into that dungeon. Suddenly Davos is evil. She's joined the Mossworn, whatever the fuck they were called, which was an enemy faction. And I'm just like, well, when did this happen? Like, this character was fine. Throughout all of the quests that I've done, this character was fine. This character was still a part of the good guys. How the fuck do I just enter this dungeon and this character is suddenly evil? This doesn't make any fucking sense. But don't worry, because 2 weeks later, Renown caught up and I did a Kyrian quest that showed me the cutscene where Davos became evil. And that was the canonical point at which you were supposed to do that dungeon that I had already done. So this that he's describing right here with, suddenly they're going to see Anduin transform into fucking Lich King and they're going to have no idea what the fuck happened. I already experienced that at the very beginning of Shadowlands. It already made no fucking sense with this Davos character. So the fact that they do this now for Anduin is like, it just seems to me like it's part of course. Doesn't mean anything. So fucking stupid, dude. But yeah, it's like, listen, Bellular, here's the thing, dude. Let's face it, Shadowlands lore doesn't fucking matter anyway. Blizzard's just like, this doesn't matter. Fuck it. Just get rid of it. Whatever. Boom, done.
a bit strange. Now, Blizzard kind of tried to cover this up with some flavor text from Jaina about another Maw Walker saving the faction leaders, but it just doesn't work when you don't see
another Maw Walker? Guys,
sort of
imagine if Final Fantasy XIV just okay, tell you guys what, let's just skip the ending of Shadowbringers, and then when you talk to characters like, oh yeah, another Warrior of Light came in and did the Amrot dungeon. Another Warrior of Light came in and killed the big bad. Don't worry about it. They got rid of it. Doesn't even matter. This is how little they think of their own story. It's so pathetic, dude.
in the quest flow. Now, It's just this weird thing where it's like, for a company that is very, very focused on telling a great quality narrative, Blizzard are doing a bit of a bad job here. We have to be real with that. Here, the core problem.
Okay, so let me see if I get this straight, Bellular. Let me see if I get this straight. The story no longer makes any fucking sense, is what you just said, because people are not going to see Anduin's transformation. They're just going to see him be evil and be the Lich King. And your description of that monumental fuck-up is they're being a bit bad. By that description, I could walk outside right now, shoot somebody in the fucking face, and the description of what I did would be, well, Ruri was a bit bad. He shot someone in the face. That's not very nice. It's like, what the fuck? Dude, a bit bad? Imagine if you missed almost like any Shadowbringers cutscene, dude. What the fuck? A bit bad. It's just a little bit.
Problem, I think, is that they tied that narrative to a bunch of cutscenes, not in-game content, and then those cutscenes were tied to extremely tedious and repetitious quest chains that were basically just a barrier to entry to get some progress and unlock a feature. So
it's almost like they have a habit of tying important things to repetitious and boring activities. It's almost like this is what made a lot of players quit the game.
Let's be real. We all watch these cutscenes in YouTube anyway, and most of us knew about them because they went up to YouTube. Once more, cheers, Wowhead. So the solution here, I think it's simple. Tell your story through quests.
Dude!
I know, it sounds like I've bought into the level.
Dude, what do you mean? You can't just assume that people watched cinematics through YouTube. What the fuck level of copium is this, dude? There's like some ultra instinct levels of copium. Well, I mean, it's not that big a deal. We watch these on YouTube anyway. It's like, yeah, I do. On Nobel's channel, where he actually makes sense out of this fucking mess. Oh my God, dude.
Into the level up experience so that all players understand what's going on, and then have an end game story that is not so fragmented. I know, it sounds like I've been playing another MMO that does those things differently. I don't mean it as some sort of mean-spirited dig at Blizzard. I mean that in the context of Blizzard always doing a great job historically of borrowing an idea and bringing it to an incredible level of polish, and I would love to see them do that with how they handle quests and narrative.
Now listen, here's what Blizzard's gonna do, all right? Blizzard's gonna do fucking Season of Mastery 3 days ahead of fucking Endwalker. That's what Blizzard does, okay? Because they're creatively fucking bankrupt, and the only thing they know how to do is throw their fucking weight around. They're like, oh, look at us, we're the big MMO. We were the biggest MMO for this long. Don't you want to go back and play some fucking WoW Classic? Huh? You gonna play that fucking weeb game? You gonna go play that fucking weeb game? That's what they fucking do. They throw their fucking weight around, and it's not good enough anymore. Fucking hell, dude. Come on, man. You can't just let them get away with that and just be like, I'm not being mean. Dude, they need you to be mean. One of the best things that you've ever done was when you fucking ran out of copium and fucking ragged on them, because that was a fucking wake-up call. When even Bellular gave them shit, that's when they fucking woke up. They're like, holy shit, dude. Even Bellular is giving us shit. That's probably one of the main inspirations for 9.1.5. Was when fucking Bellular told them that he's had enough of their shit.
Okay then, a little bit in 9.1.5. So, the patch comes out November 2nd, but Blizzard are actually still working on it. Indeed, many feared when they saw a release candidate in PTR that there'd be no class changes.
Dude, patch literally comes out in 2 days. Is it 2 days? Does this month have a 31? This month does have a 31. Patch comes out literally in 3 days. How can it not be done? How are you still working on it What?
Now, if you saw those fears, they were definitely good fears to have because they weren't there, and it did say release candidate. But there are changes going on now in the PTR, including Binding Shot basically being destroyed, and then kind of being returned to normal. So that was fun. Certainly, though, they are cutting it close. These class changes are coming in, and the patch is out in a few days. I suppose that's to be expected, given everything that we can assume about their schedule.
Dude,
I mean, hell, even the Mage Tower had
sucks
issues
ass.
during its limited testing window. Though, to be honest, I wouldn't be too worried or too doomsay about it right now because they literally have over a month to tune that thing internally because the Legion Time Walking releases December 7th, which is a bit tricky because it's a bit of a FOMO feeling event in that it doesn't last for that long. And I didn't like their preview blog that kind of amped up the FOMO. It was like, oh, champions, heroes, there's not much time to do this. You better do it. It's just...
It's all they know how to do.
It's not a great look, given...
They hit you with that fucking FOMO, dude. Just wait until when this patch launches and they release a 6-month mount. Just wait for it, dude. It's coming.
And other things going on in the market because I think that is around when Endwalker Raids release.
Yeah.
I mean, also not that many people, but Expanse is a new season. Halo Infinite. I don't know. I might be busy. But really, look, we all know what the crack is here. This patch should have been out in November. They're either woefully behind or, and hopefully it's this, they have a lot more people working on patch 9.2. Hopefully it's the latter. So overall, 9.1.5 objectively is a fantastic patch full of brilliant changes if you look at it in terms of what it's supposed to do. But they are changes that should have been there based on beta feedback at launch. This is going to be a fantastic patch for existing players who will now get to enjoy doing the same dungeons and all those things that they've been used to, but maybe with some new Covenant ability.
Did you hear what he just said? This is a fantastic patch for existing players. They get to do the same dungeons they've been used to. They get to do the same shit they've been doing all this time, except now it's going to feel a little bit better. You get to do the same shit you've been doing all this time, all right? Be fucking happy.
And content and a bit more freedom to mix and match. But this isn't a patch that's going to bring people back, and I don't think Time Walking will bring that many people back, at least until it is no longer framed as a time-limited event. A version of it that allows me to do Throne of Thunder 10, min eye level synced, well, that would be interesting.
Did you hear the word that he just said? Min eye level. You guys ever seen anything on World of Warcraft that said min eye level? I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Am I crazy? Guys, help me out here. Is there like a checkbox in WoW where I can tick minimum eye level? I never heard synced in WoW either. Yeah, me neither. I have no idea. Dude, this is the best. Yeah, that's what he needed to say at the end. Minimum item level, synced, and no echo. Actually, Tigrex, there was a sync feature for a while. It was called, I think it was called like Party Sync, whatever it was. And it was really fucking weird because the idea was you'd be able to party up with someone that hadn't done content and you'd be able to sync yourself down to their level. But by yourself, you would never be able to sync yourself down to anything. So yeah.
I'd love to show my guild that experience. Time walking is a thing in World of Warcraft, a big new feature, that would get people back. So hopefully the next expansion evolves these things, but until then, patch 9.2 is what really is important. And you can say it's copium, maybe it is.
Yes, it is!
I'm going to say there is a silver lining.
Okay.
Look, if you're patient, there's lots of other fantastic video games to play, so your gaming time is not going to be left wanting. Whenever 9.2 does come...
If there's lots of other video games to play, why is Blizzard forcing people to choose? Why can't Blizzard have basic human decency and respect for players? Like, I don't know, Yoshi P, who in his interviews basically said, hey man, we hope you play our game and then eventually you take a break and go play other games. We think it's important for you to play other games. Blizzard's like, no. You have to choose. You have to play our game when we say so.
Out, it will benefit greatly from how patch 9.1.5 has fixed a bunch of problems. Assuming 9.2 keeps it simple in the systems, it totally could be a fantastic patch. I mean, some degree of thought line to what 9.1.5 has done.
Shards of Domination 2.0.
Fly out the window, right?
Yeah, right. Dude, it's such copium. Dude, see the cycle. The cycle that World of Warcraft always goes through. Where it's like the game's always at its best when it's at the end of an expansion to hype you up for the next one. And then they fuck you. They psychologically abuse you to get you as point to the near of breaking down as possible. And then they hit you with some good stuff. And then they hit it with you again. And then they slowly feed you up all the way to the end of the next expansion so they can fuck you in the ass in the next expansion again. Come on, dude. You know this.
And time for a costume change because more news broke. Right. WoW Classic Season of Mastery
tell me
has
about
a release
this one.
plan. Servers are going to go online for your name reservations November 11th, and it's going to be coming out November 16th. That's pretty speedy, really. Now, for TLDR here, there's a new Soul of Iron system that is essentially a hardcore mode, as well as increased boss difficulty, some mechanics being added back in, faster leveling, and a more aggressive release cadence. So basically, do Classic again, but harder, like fundamentally harder, and with fewer farm weeks between the raids. A lot more niche than regular Classic. I mean, personally, I would rather them kind of build a, like, you know, OSRS, like a sort of Classic Plus thing, rather than the seasonal approach, just given it's an MMORPG. But I guess we'll just see how the future pans out. I mean, hey, does this appeal to you? For the business side, I wonder if this is...
Not at all.
Just them trying to get the numbers up a little bit, because obviously it has been a wee bit more of a rough time, so... Who knows? But they certainly have been getting into the Classic pot a lot with.
You're not going to mention the Endwalker release date?
I wonder what the Classic situation is going to look like when there's also a wrap.
Come on.
That'll be a lot of WoW releases.
Dude, he's not even going to mention the Endwalker release date? That's low, dude. I'm sorry, that's low. I mean, come on, you're gonna tell me that's not a relevant bit of information to include in there? Come on. Dude, come on. Dude, he's trying not to aggravate the World of Warcraft fans in his audience? They buck hard at the mention of Final Fantasy XIV. Really? That's the level of copium that goes on his Warcraft channel? Dude, come on, man. That's fucking low. Like, I thought it was weird that he didn't mention the fact that Bobby Kotick got a $155 million pay package in June. I thought that part was weird. It's like, oh yeah, he's taking a massive pay cut. Let's not talk about the fact that he already collected $155 fucking million earlier this year. Let's not talk about that. I mean, come on, dude. And now you're not even going to mention that clearly one of the reasons Season of Mastery is getting released on the 16th is because it's 3 days before Endwalker to force people to have to choose between Season of Mastery or Endwalker.
And there's a new store mount. Yes, and it's just that. There's no 6-month subscription tied into this one. Now, as always, we'll wheel out the usual statement. It's a fantastic looking mount made by incredible artists with beautiful animations. That's what we expect from store mounts. They usually are cut above the rest. Of course, all the usual store mount criticisms apply here. And the other thing is this is undoubtedly the worst time to release such a thing. But it is essentially a case of printing money, given, I mean, how much this looks like a domestic cat. And, you know, we all love cats, or at least most of us, or many of us. I cannot help but wonder if this is not part of the 6-month bundle because they know that, like, it's a big domestic cat and it's super cute. Cat people are going to buy it no matter what, so why give it to them with the sub they're already paying? Maybe that's conspiratorial.
Oof. Nice swing. He actually took a swing. Gotta give it to him.
But I kind of think it might be the case. And indeed, if that is the case, then I suppose we could see another 6-month mount promo around when patch 9.2 arrives. So that would be us in pace for 3, 4 sort of store mount thingies a year. It's kind of funny because, they've done this cat and they've then threw a wild amount of Hearthstone content into the 6-month WoW sub thing. I think that just means, they are trying to, they're in a situation where obviously they're business. They need to bring the money in to make the uppers happy. So they're kind of just throwing the kitchen sink at it. I guess they're just doing what they got to do there from a business perspective. Certainly, though, there's probably a lot of game developers on the WoW team who are thinking, that's a cool mount. I wish we were releasing it in a better environment. This is bad timing. But hey, the game developers often don't.
If I was a World of Warcraft developer, I'd be thinking, that's a cool mount. Wouldn't it be great if we actually put it in the fucking game where it belongs? The game where people are paying a fucking subscription fee to play every fucking month? The game where we haven't put a single fucking ounce of content for how many fucking months? That's what I'd be thinking if I was a World of Warcraft developer. If I was involved in any way with, developing this mount, I'd be thinking hey guys, how about we put this one in the game? Have you guys ever considered this? And some executive comes in and he's like, what, you mean for free? And it's for free? You realize people are paying $15 every fucking month for content they're not getting from this fucking team. And now we're going to charge them $25 more to get this fucking cat? All right.
Don't call the shots, so it is what it is.
Vicarious Visions is
Some more
getting
meta
assimilated
news.
by the board.
Vicarious Visions have lost their name. So
Pour one out for
supposedly merging
Vicarious
into Blizzard
Visions,
Entertainment,
boys!
Has somewhat completed. They may end up being called Blizzard Albany. Hopefully, though, they'll be able to keep their company culture.
They've been
and
assimilated.
Things like that. If you're not aware, Vicarious Visions have worked on numerous successful projects. As an example, the perfection that was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remastered, also Diablo 2 Resurrected. I believe they're now helping out quite a bit in Diablo 4 and potentially some other Blizzard projects. But they very much now are Blizzard. And I suppose it does make sense. Their former studio head, Jen O'Neill, is in fact co-leader of Blizzard Entertainment alongside Mike Ybarra. Speaking of Mike Ybarra, boosting then. So look, there's a thing happened where Mike Ybarra talked about how he is boosting with his guild. He just said he was streaming, his guild was doing a sales run. The thing to understand here is that Mike Ybarra plays in a cutting-edge guild, right? A cutting-edge guild.
Okay.
That means, they're out there clearing the mythics. Most of the cutting-edge guilds, and if you've watched our 2 videos on boosting and our 1 dive into gold, those guilds need a lot of gold, and providing
for
boosting
consumables
services is a very normal thing.
Yes.
So for me, I was choosing to just believe that, look, that's what Mike Ybarra is doing. It's not even his guild. He's just a player in that guild, right? So that's what he's doing. But of course, for a lot of people, though, we're then thinking, yeah, well, boosting, WoW Token has a dimension in that. And
there we go.
Well, Mike, it's a bit different you saying that because you are the co-leader of this company.
Exactly.
And it is a company that does,
You're literally making money out of it.
So there's a whole can of worms there. And I think what then really popped up in all of this is Final Fantasy XIV, where they did an update to what is acceptable to do in the Party Finder. They have basically said that selling boosts and services is...
And by the way, before people potentially accuse Final Fantasy XIV of doing this as a response to the Mike Ybarra situation, that was not the case because Yoshi P mentioned in an interview before Mike Ybarra made his tweet that they were working on something this to prevent boosting and real money transactions and all the other bullshit from showing up in 14, which became way more prevalent after, the World of Warcraft crowd joined in. Obviously, a lot of businesses were like, well, I guess we can go make money there now. We can go farm gold and sell people gold in there, right? And, they announced before Mike Ybarra made his post. So this is not a knee-jerk reaction or taking a stab at Blizzard. This was something they were already working on.
Is punishable by account action. It is no longer acceptable. Now, saying, hey, I want to do something and I will pay you 1 million gil to do it, that is okay. So, asking for a bit of help.
Loopy the Wolf, I'm going to be addressing that comment, actually. People complain about boosting, but as a Mythic Raider who's in a distant guild, you're forced to boost. I know. Or you can't afford augment runes and BOE items. Also, you need professions leveled early to be able to trade loot efficiently. All of that is crazy expensive. I agree. We're going to be talking about that. I'm just curious to see if Bellular is going to bring that up or not.
And saying, hey, I'll provide you with a reward. That's fine. But advertising a boosting service that you are providing, that is no longer okay. Now, technically, I believe the terms of service do say that the LFG finder thingy in WoW is like not there for advertising, but obviously it's not really an enforced thing. I think, you know, have a quick little scroll and you can see what's really going on there. It's that sort of thing where with FF14, people have got a lot of faith that the GMs will actually take action. That they do.
They will.
You know, for harassment, for even people talking about parsing and things like that, which of course you're not supposed to do. They do take action in those instances, whereas with Blizzard, they really don't. Now, there are upcoming improvements to the...
I mean, let's face it, Blizzard's a small indie company, right? They can't afford to have GMs to actually take action.
Group Finder that hopefully will help. Overall, though, I think it's just this little 1-2 punch of Mike Ybarra doing a thing, I think from his perspective, rather innocently as a player, that of course is tied up in a big old can of worms. You can take a look at our boosting investigation, where we talked to, we in fact talked to high-up people, including leadership of multiple boosting communities, to really get the, you know, the inside take on it, to work out what was going on. That, our gold video, things like that, to get a bit more of a read on that. But certainly, it's a dramatic enough situation, and having Ybarra accidentally, I think, blunder into that, and then very shortly afterwards, Square Enix kind of just go and do the populist thing. It's not a particularly great...
See, he's kind of, he just said it. Square Enix kind of doing the populist thing. That is not the case. Square Enix did not do this as a reaction to it. As a matter of fact, if we go to Mike Ybarra's tweet, which he has right here, where are we at? We're at 2633. If you go to Mike Ybarra's tweet, you'll notice this tweet was made on the 16th of October. The embargo for the media tour of Endwalker lifted on the 13th of October. The interviews were made even earlier than that. And when that embargo lifted, that's when the Asmongold interview went up. And during the Asmongold interview, Yoshi P specifically said, we are addressing this, we're changing our EULA. So all of that was already in motion before Ybarra ever made his tweet. So it was not a populist move. And you can say that I'm defending Square Enix, but I'm just stating facts here. But anyways, I don't think that Bellular is going to be addressing it, so I'll address it here, particularly because, you know, you also mentioned it in chat, Loopy the Wolf, which is Mythic Raiders are actually forced to boost because of the current gold, because of the economic situation in World of Warcraft. You're 100% correct. I completely agree with you. Mythic Raiders do have to boost. I agree 100% with you. They have to boost in order to get gold. This is just, you know, the situation that World of Warcraft is in right now. Now, what is important is to look at why World of Warcraft is in that situation. World of Warcraft is in that situation because they saw fit to sell the WoW token, which the World of Warcraft token basically gave a lot of people instant access to gold. What happens when there's too much gold in an economy? Prices rise. If you think about what's happening to New World right now, I mean, besides all of the bugs and shit, but before all of the bugs in chat and all that stuff that we were talking about, right? Before that, it was going through a deflation. What was happening? Players were not able to make enough gold in the game. So what was happening? Everything that was in the auction house was being sold for 0.01 gold because there's not enough gold in circulation. With Blizzard introducing the World of Warcraft token, they introduced a lot more gold into the, you know, into different players' pockets. So a lot of players just got a fuck ton of buying power all of a sudden, and they just buy everything. And what happens when they buy everything? Well, prices increase because people can make gold. So it's just like the World of Warcraft token fucking inflated World of Warcraft's economy into the fucking nth degree, and that's why Mythic Raiders are forced to boost. They don't have any choice because otherwise they can't buy the consumables because shit is way too expensive. Because every time a World of Warcraft whale needs gold to buy anything, they're like, well, I'm going to get myself the WoW token. Boom, done. It's there you go. They're just like everything fucking inflates. And now you have this beautiful situation where fucking consumables cost an arm and a leg. And why do you think that Blizzard likes keeping it that way? Because it makes more people buy WoW tokens. And they make more fucking money. It's that simple. The more WoW tokens people buy, the more money they make. Which is why, for Mike Ybarra to tweet something like that was like twice as dumb, because he's literally profiting off of every WoW token that people buy to get gold to pay him to boost them through the content.
Afterwards, Square Enix kind of just go and do the populist thing. It's not a particularly great look for Blizzard, I think it's just an example of how on this, they've somewhat lost the narrative. As for me, well, you know how I feel. I think that it's actually pretty neat having a goods and a services economy within the game, but we do need to think, why are people being driven toward boosting? Is there a part of the game's reward loop and, the motivations and all of that that's not really working? If loads of people feel like they need boosts, does that highlight some sort of issue within the game?
Yes.
And then also, Blizzard do have an incentive with the black market auction house and with boosting and things like that to push more WoW tokens. And that does kind of create a conflict of interest. So for me, I would say it needs to be removed from group chat. It needs to be removed from the party finder. I think actually going with FF14 is basically the way to do it, where you cannot advertise, but you can solicit someone else's aid. I think that basically is the way to do it. And I suppose then if people want to organize boosts...
Venom Punk can't blame Bellular for this. Think about it, how much the YouTubers lose in views if they switch games. I've seen this happen with other IPs. Have nothing to do with MMO subjects. It's like, listen, guys, I want to make sure that you guys understand one thing before we move any further in this video. I am criticizing certain things about Bellular because, the way in which certain things are being presented makes me frustrated. But I need you to understand one thing. Like, I have no hate for Bellular. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. I love Bellular's content, which is why I watch it. If I didn't like his content, if I didn't like his personality, I wouldn't watch stuff here. That's one of the reasons why, sometimes I'm like, damn it, Bellular, I wish you would have presented this fact or presented this thing this way. That's wishful thinking on my part. Doesn't mean that I don't like his content. I like his content and I like Bellular. Regardless if he shills for World of Warcraft or doesn't shill for World of Warcraft, which I'm not saying he does. And I completely understand his position because it's his Warcraft channel. And it's like, look, Bellular is extremely successful at what he does on YouTube. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you guys what, Bellular in a lot of ways is kind of like an inspiration for the way in which I do content because he produces content in a very organized, methodical way, which is actually fucking impressive. Okay? I have fuck tons of respect for Bellular, so I don't want you to suddenly think because I have an offhand remark here or there that I don't have respect for Bellular. I have fuck tons of respect for this guy. This guy is doing fucking amazing work on YouTube. Unlike him, I'm terribly unsuccessful on YouTube because of the fact that I just do whatever the fuck I want and say whatever the fuck I want. So we can clearly tell which one of us is the more intelligent one. But, just to make that part clear, I'm not criticizing, maybe I am criticizing certain things in the way in which he is presenting them, but I don't want him to change the way that he's doing things. Things are the way that they are. You should do things the way that he does because he knows better than me. So understand that. I completely understand why, some things are the way that they are. But, I'm here to present a different perspective on it. And that's the point of doing a reaction video. If I was just watching a video and going yep, I agree. Yep, 100%. I don't think that would be that interesting to begin with.
Through Discord bots and things, well, at least it won't clog up trade chat and party finder. Perhaps that's a good thing. So there you go. And that really is it for this catch up, this brief little check-in with the health of World of Warcraft and Blizzard. I sincerely hope that in 6 months, I'm coming back to you and I'm able to have more positive change, more positive stuff that I can come here and talk about.
I hope so
patch
too.
9.2 that's made us all happy.
It would actually be fucking amazing.
Excited for a 10.0 that genuinely does look it's going in the right direction. For now, though, we are just in that weird murky quagmire. All we can do is try to, keep our marbles, hold our heads high, plow through it, and see how it goes. So till then, I hope you enjoy some fun video games. Have a great time. A thank you to Noom for sponsoring today's video, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah. I think we've given plenty of context to everything that was discussed in this video. I wished he'd brought up the, Blizzard's arrogance and going after a little bit more and going after the Endwalker release and the Endwalker raids. He did bring up the Endwalker raids, but still, I wish he had brought up a couple of more topics there. But other than that, I think that the video is pretty informative. It's pretty good. And I like it. And I think you guys should go like it too, regardless of how you feel about the thing, because ultimately it is a good video. And I appreciate his content. But yeah, it's like what is happening with Blizzard sucks. And at the end of the day, you know, I think that some people may get to the point where it's like they don't even want the game to improve anymore. They just want Blizzard to fail, because I've seen a lot of comments like that. And it's like, ultimately, I want them to do better. It's just the way in which they're going about trying to improve themselves is fucking terrible. That's the problem I have. But, yeah, that's that.